Hi there, everyone. We are getting ready to go live. I hope you guys can all hear me. If you can't hear me, please let me know. Shoot me a message and I will adjust things. We're trying to do this again with 2 cameras. So this should be a lot of fun, but welcome. It is Sunday Night Live with me, Dr. Taz. I hope you guys all had an incredible weekend. I know that I did. And it was just beautiful here in Atlanta. I'm going to move these cameras over, guys, just so you can see me a little bit better. But it was beautiful here in the Atlanta area, and we had an opportunity to go outside and enjoy all the fresh air and water. I'm doing a sound check. You guys can hear me? Yes, everyone can hear me. Awesome. How's everybody doing? This is so fun. I'm so excited to do this. We are now live on both Instagram and Facebook, so this should be fun, and YouTube as well. So hello to everybody out there. I hope you guys are all doing really well wherever you are throughout the world. All right, you guys know I like opening these Sunday Night Lives with a quote. So here's our quote for today. And this is very fitting, I think, because of what we are going to talk about today. And we've got a ton to cover, so bear with me. All right, the closing of a door can bring blessed privacy and comfort. The opening of a door, absolute terror. How are you guys all feeling? I know many regions of the country and of the world are starting to open up, right? We're starting to relax restrictions, get out there, get into parks and beaches here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We're out and about with more businesses slowly trickling open. People are still really scared, right? There's still a lot of fear. There's still a lot of terror. Are they going to catch something? Will something happen? Are they going to get sick? And it doesn't help when you look at the media headlines and you see things like, oh, second wave in the fall, or death toll high as states ease restrictions. And this sort of culture of fear and the psychology of fear, I think, is going to continue to cripple us and is going to prevent us from making a full recovery. So the reason and the purpose of me doing some of these lives is to really, truly motivate all of us to stay elevated, to stay uplifted, to stay positive and happy, because I do think we're going to get through this. And I do think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And even as we resume and go back to normal, we need to be able to tell the whole story. And that's what we're here about today. We're here to talk about the whole story when it comes to coronavirus and any other medical issues that are out there, or any issues, period. Because when we know the whole story, we're super powered, we're empowered, and we can make a difference in the world. Right now, you're seeing where people are feeling threatened. They're feeling scared of whatever is going to happen, or should they dare step out of their homes. I'm going to repeat the quote. The closing of a door can bring blessed privacy and comfort. The opening of a door often brings terror. But we're going to dispel that myth, and we're going to go out there and we're going to go back to the new normal, but thinking through how we may need to change behavior and how we may need to make adjustments for ourselves. So, the simple rules still stand. I'll reinforce those every time I'm on here. We still have to wash our hands. We still have to observe strong precautions when it comes to crowds and social distancing. We do maybe need to start wearing masks, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But at the end of the day, it's our immune system that matters. The state of your health is reflected in what I'm calling the 6th vital sign, which is your immune system. Remember, your immune system, those of you who follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I posted a graphic yesterday. Your immune system is actually your entire body. There's not just one aspect of it. And so that's where we get this story wrong often when we're talking about how to heal ourselves or how to prevent us from getting infections. I've spent over a decade in the field of integrative and functional and holistic medicine talking to people about this very issue, their immune systems, because the majority of what I'm dealing with, autoimmune disease, cancer, sensory issues, neurodevelopmental issues, diseases of inflammation, are ultimately affecting our immune systems. So I think it's so important for all of us to remember that our immune systems can be managed, and we do have control, and we do have the ability to really be advocates for them. But you've got to observe those rules, which are sleeping consistently, getting the right nutrients in, making the right daily choices when it comes to your diet, like decreasing sugar, decreasing alcohol, and then getting those key nutrients. And I'm going to repeat them again. You're probably sick of me at this point, but it's vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, B vitamins, Those are the critical ones. They all indirectly help to beat inflammation, boost immune function, and really help you to prevent a virus from going into phase 2, especially COVID-19, from going into phase 2, which we are calling cytokine storm. So keep that in mind, that conversation hasn't changed. And pinned to the top of my Dr. Taz Facebook page is the immune guide. I encourage you to continue to download that, spread the message so that everybody can get an understanding of that. And it's also in the Instagram highlights and on drtaz.com/shop. You'll see the immune guide there. Check it out and really get a sense of all the different things that you can do, the control that you do have in your hands to help your immune system. All right, let's move on to the news because there's so much to break down, and I'm sure a lot that you guys all have questions about when it comes to your to coronavirus and what's happening. So testing. Posted a video earlier this week or later in the week about testing and the purpose of testing. Now, remember, the purpose of testing is for everyone to help understand where they stand in this particular virus. If you have positive IgM antibodies, you're going to probably have more of an active infection. If you have positive IgG antibodies, you've been exposed. Now, the hope is that if you've had some exposure, that you will also have some immunity to coronavirus. Now, what we don't know is how long is that immunity? Is it simply for a day? I mean, not a day. Is it simply for a year or 2 years, or is it for longer? So that question remains to be determined. But testing, so many different tests out there. We're offering it at our practice at Center Spring MD. But testing is a big thing. I was taking a walk today, actually, over in Chastain, and it was so funny. It's like literally like 4 or 5 people that walked by me were all talking about, yeah, I got the test and it tested this or that. I do think testing is helpful. I think it is going to correct the statistics that we are all seeing, because quite honestly, not everyone's being tested, and the death rate is probably effectively lower than what we're all understanding. So testing is going to be a critical part of this conversation and understanding where we all stand as we get back to the new normal, because that is what needs to happen next. All right, so that's the conversation on testing. The other thing that came out in the middle of the week, I don't know if you guys caught this one or not, but the airlines coming down with new regulations about how we are going to all fly. Now, you guys know I've been on a plane a bunch with my past life of doing different things in different cities, but the new regulations from some of the major airlines are that we will be wearing masks on the airlines. I believe Delta, United, and American Airlines all joined in saying that we need to be wearing masks when we fly. Again, the new normal. That's what we are all going to expect moving forward. And speaking of the new normal, getting your haircut. Anyone got a haircut here in Atlanta this weekend? So many places are still not open. I think Cubby's hair is coming down to here and like literally growing everywhere. And we saw a friend or two in full beard. So everyone's got their hairiest self going on right now. But when it comes to cutting hair, many of your hairdressers are wearing face masks, like PVC shields, along with, sort of it being surrounded all the way around their head. I posted a picture of that earlier in the week for you guys to see, but that may be your new normal when it comes to getting your hair cut. So again, lots of changes in store for all of us. Again, this grocery stores and shopping malls are starting to, grocery stores have been open, but shopping malls are opening up. It doesn't mean that all the stores are open. So we'll see, but definitely a move across the country, I think, to open. I think in other parts of the world too, a move to open. I know many of you are joining us from different regions of the world, but a move to open, a move to sort of return to some semblance of normalcy. And I do think this is critical, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Let's go through a couple of other coronavirus headlines before we talk about kind of the fallout of what's happened with all of this. So hi to Texas. I'm actually from Texas, guys. I don't know if you know that. I was born in Tyler, Texas, and lived in Texas for over 6 years before my parents moved around the country a bit. So I'm actually originally Texan more than anything else. That's a fun fact about me that you may not have known. I want to talk about remdesivir, and I actually have here the study on remdesivir, which is very interesting. So this is this is a drug. It's an antiviral. It's going into a phase 3 clinical trial. The company is called Gilead, and they seem very encouraged by the fact that this antiviral can shut down coronavirus. They're testing both a 5-day and a 10-day course to see, which of the two are more effective, and it looks promising, and that drug will be on the market. Now, none of this is surprising, because in China, in Wuhan, in Shanghai, when they had their bout with coronavirus, they were using remdesivir, high-dose vitamin C, and zinc together to treat their hospitalized patients. So remdesivir now being talked about here in the US as a potential treatment option for coronavirus moving forward. So encouraging news there. There continues to be the race to the vaccine. And can a vaccine solve this pandemic? Just like it may have solved, vaccinations may have solved other pandemics in the past. We'll see. Here's the problem with vaccination. We're rushing. We're trying to get something accomplished. It may help us in the short run, but the viruses always mutate. We've seen that with flu. We've seen that we first had 2 strains, but then as the world intermingled, we now have millions of different strains of the flu, and it's very difficult to always target the particular strain effectively. Does that mean we don't vaccinate? Not necessarily, but here's the point I'm trying to drive home. We still have to pay attention to our immune systems and how we take care of ourselves, and what we do for our bodies overall. So I think that conversation on immunity and what immunity means to you, and that 6th vital sign, is absolutely critical. If you're just joining us anywhere on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, I'm Dr. Taz. I'm an integrative and functional wellness expert, and working on really spreading the message about your immune system and how your immune system matters. If you have questions for me, please post them below. I'll be happy to answer them. And remember, for so many, if you want more resources and guides on your immune system, on wellness, and how we bring these different systems of medicine to have the formula for our power, please go to my website. It's drtaz.com, and you'll see all kinds of fun resources there as we're trying to build the Taz tribe and build this community to help us move forward and change the conversation around medicine and change the conversation around our personal empowerment. All right, remdesivir, we talked about. Another interesting study that continues to play out in this coronavirus story is the role of obesity and COVID-19. Now, first we saw it here in the US, with the US having poorer outcomes in those who are overweight or obese. But now the UK is also finding that they're having a harder time with coronavirus in their patients that are obese. So a huge connection between obesity and outcomes for COVID-19. Really important, guys, because obesity is also a hallmark of our overall health. We know that when we are overweight, that there is more inflammation in the body. When there's more inflammation, it is much more difficult to fight off infection. So thinking through, how we manage weight, how we consume food, what we do about food. That's probably a whole separate show that we need to do on weight and weight management and all the different theories and thoughts that are out there for weight. And that's something, if you guys are interested, we can definitely talk about. But the rising rate of obesity across the world continues to be problematic. And when it comes to viruses and bacteria and chronic disease and cancer and autoimmune disease, managing weight may ultimately be where we need to focus, because it's one of the key ways to decrease inflammation. And it's also a telltale sign of what's happening with our environment. So much of inflammation and weight and obesity today is caught up in the quality of our food, our air, our water, our soil, and how that merges with our overall health and really plays into where we stand with inflammation, which at the end of the day is the ultimate key word. All right, and then finally, coronavirus and surfaces. So much debate as we go back to normal. I actually pulled this out, and it was funny. There's studies now, 2 studies, one in the New England Journal of Medicine and one in the Lancet, both trying to evaluate how long coronavirus lives on different surfaces. And I don't want to read everything to you and bore you to tears and put you to sleep tonight on Sunday as you guys get ready for the week ahead, but it is fascinating. So for example, they found that the virus lives on plastic for up to 3 days. And then on metal, let's see, how long is it living on metal? On metal, it could live on stainless steel, for example, for up to 7 days. There's a lot of debate about clothing, shoes, and floors. And most of the consensus around that is, while it is on our clothes, it's probably not necessary to wash your clothes over and over if you've gone out and come back in. But it is probably more helpful to leave your shoes off to the side, because they find more coronavirus living on shoes and shoe samples rather than necessarily on clothing. Same with hair. It's not living necessarily on hair for more than a couple of hours. So our hair is not necessarily a way to transmit coronavirus. But again, if you're working with a lot of people very close in a service industry or source, you probably want to pull that hair back and have that protected as well. But it's your shoes, your hands, your breath. Those are the three things probably to focus on more so than anywhere else. So why are we so concerned about reopening different parts of the country and the world? Now, we know about the economic fallout. We also know about sort of just wanting to get back to normal, right? Like there's only so long that we can all live this way and work this way. But here's another piece of the story that's not being told when it comes to this pandemic, is that the rate of abuse is going up. And this is something that people face quietly and often don't speak about. But in many parts of the world, throughout the world, the rates of domestic violence and child abuse are going up. The hotlines are ringing, and we're not hearing the story because, again, when you're forced to be quarantined with limited resources and limited contact with others, some areas of the world you're only allowed to go outside for 30 minutes a day or for an hour a day, then that in turn is going to create conditions where if there was already a tendency towards violence or already a frayed relationship, well, it's an opportunity for that to become so much worse. So remember, domestic abuse and child abuse is real. When I worked in the pediatric emergency room and in pediatrics for the first part of my career, child abuse was something that I was very passionate about preventing and identifying. And it breaks my heart really to know that kids today and even women are being affected by this pandemic in that way. So again, there's so many elements to the story, right? When we shut things down and we shut our society down, they're gifts where we've all learned to declutter, whether we're decluttering our minds, our houses, our closets, our lives, whatever else. But then there are also some things that come out that are very ugly because people are not connected. And at the end of the day, we're humans, we're connected, we need to be together. And that failure to be together, I think, will undo us. So the earlier we can all work to move forward and find a way to protect our immune systems, observe good hygiene rules, have some parameters in place, have our, some guidelines for protecting ourselves, really that is going to work best for us long term. And I'm telling you all of this to help you guys understand that there's, again, that message of fear that continues to be sort of spouted on our news channels in different companies. I had somebody tell me that their company was telling them not to go to the doctor, not to go to the dentist, not to go here, not to go there. I don't think our society is going to be able to function effectively from a place of fear. I think we've got to find a way to be functional, to move forward, to understand that this virus is serious, but it is serious to a particular population. And the effective rate may not be what you're seeing simply because everyone's not getting tested. And we really don't know ultimately what the numbers are going to look like. So I think it's important to take all the information in. I think it's important to find that middle road. I'm always merging the East and West. I'm always merging all this stuff together to find the solutions that will work for all of us. So as we return to normal and head out into whatever we're facing, let's let go of fear and let's let go of anxiety. And remember, as humans and as a race, we were meant to be connected to each other. We were meant to touch, to talk, to communicate. And the sort of extreme restrictions that have taken place over the last 8 weeks for many people, longer for others, are starting to show their signs with anxiety and depression, abuse, and economic downturns really starting to become more of the story than COVID-19 itself. And in any time of a pandemic, when you research history and you look back, whether it was the Spanish flu or the SARS pandemic or any of these things, there is a downturn, but everybody does come out of it. And we've never shut things down to this extreme. So I think we'll all be okay as we return to normal. So don't be afraid of returning to normal, and don't be distracted by the political conversation happening all around us. I think it's so hard to understand, what the truth is and who's speaking the truth for the right reasons. I would encourage you all to continue to demand the facts, search for the facts, let go of fear, and understand that there's a lot of power that you do have in your hands to make a difference when it comes to the outcome of this particular virus and this particular pandemic. And that's the message we need to be spreading out there in the world and providing everybody with resources to understand how that works, to understand why their health matters, why their immune system matters, why how they live matters, who they interact with matters. All of this stuff matters, and we ultimately are connected. And man, did this pandemic demonstrate that in no other way than ever before. All right, and lighter news, more fun news. I'll get off my soapbox there, and then we'll take some questions, by the way. Starbucks, everyone missing their Starbucks? It's reopening, and they're reopening to go, so we can all fill up on our coffee and tea. I'm not a coffee person myself, but for those of you, I don't think they're opening for seating yet, but they are opening their to-go area for sure. So Starbucks opening back up, so get ready for that. More drive-throughs, more, some restaurants are starting to open with, really spaced seating, kind of like what we did at the practice as well. So that's happening too. All right, let me take some of your questions before we close out tonight. I know I had some. Does this mean people over 65 will never be safe to go out again if what a good question, if the virus can mutate? No, I don't think so. I think that over 65 that you have to be careful. I think, again, one of my pet peeves, and I've said this in many of my specials and in many of some of the things I've done, I hate it when people tell me they're just too old. That's my pet peeve, because I do believe that even at 65, you have time to work on your immune system, to work on your overall health, and to make sure that you are optimized. And that's your gut health. To do a quick review here, hopefully you've been paying attention to me all these weeks, but your gut health matters. The nutrients you're taking in matters, your sleep and your stress matters, and really taking an opportunity to correct those. And that should enable you to get out there no matter what side story is going on with the virus. Okay, so that's the message we really want to get out right now. Now, if you are over 65 and you're not in a good shape of health and you are fighting a chronic disease, well, yes, you have to be more conscious of where you're going, what you're doing, and maybe taking more precautions, like wearing a mask more frequently. So I hope that's helpful for that question. All right, let me see. I think I saw a question or two. Let's see. Any other questions? If you guys have questions, please post them and I will try to get to them. If I don't get to them on here, then I'll definitely come back and answer them a little bit later. All right, lots of sweet comments. Thank you for all of those. Here's one. If you have a pre-existing condition like fibroids, is that considered having more inflammation and less immunity? What a great question. I don't think fibroids put you in that category. Fibroids are a condition of estrogen dominance, meaning your body is not breaking estrogen down very well. It does not necessarily mean, it's not an equal line to you have more inflammation. It is something to think about. It's something to be aware of, but it's not necessarily you're at higher risk. So such a great point, because a lot of these hormone imbalances and inabilities to detox hormones do play into our overall health. But when I'm talking inflammation right now and in your risk for your immune system, I think the most immediate things I'm thinking about are when you have an autoimmune disease, when you have obesity, or you have a chronic disease like cancer, or some of the more subtle chronic diseases that you often don't hear discussed, like chronic Epstein-Barr, chronic Lyme, mold, some of those type of things. Those are going to predispose you for sure to having more immune system dysfunction. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see if there are any more. If you recently started Lexapro, does that mean your immunity is low now? Now, Lexapro, remember, is an anti-anxiety drug. So many of you battling anxiety right now, I completely get it and I understand for sure. But no, Lexapro will not lower your immunity in the short term. Lexapro may, in the long term, affect gut function. Remember, the gut is 75% of your immune system, but Lexapro won't necessarily lower your immunity in the short term. So I don't think that's something to worry about. And look, I have been writing more anxiety medication prescriptions over the last few weeks because people need them. You guys are super anxious. And I've got this whole toolbox here. This is my anxiety toolbox, which I'm about, whoa, sorry about that. I was about to drop here. But there's so many different things you can do for anxiety, but when you're really struggling, then I do think something like Lexapro can be helpful. Sorry about that, guys. I hope I didn't scare anybody with dropping stuff. Okay, let's see if there are any other questions that I did not get to. What do I think of hand sanitizer that has no alcohol in it. So when it comes to coronavirus, we are finding that the sanitizers you're using need to have at least 60% or so of alcohol to truly kill the virus. So that's just the medical facts out there that we need to be aware of. So you want to make sure that there is some rubbing alcohol in there for it to be effective. So I hope that answers that question. All right, let's see, that may be it for questions. Any other questions that I can take? Let me run through here real fast. We talked about the fibroids. We talked about Lexapro. What's in the toolbox? Oh my goodness. You guys don't want to wait for my video, do you? All right, I'll show you the toolbox real quickly, and then I'll do a video on it later to help those of you who might, anyone who wants to come back to it for more. All right, what's an anxiety toolbox? So for many conditions, let me get rid of this real quickly. For many conditions, I am all about creating a toolbox, because when you are in an emotional state, whether it's anxiety or fear or depression or sadness or grief or any of these things you're experiencing, you don't have the bandwidth to try to come up with a plan. It's just impossible. You're just not there. You don't have the energy. So having these little toolboxes, so here's the one I have created for anxiety. I probably should have labeled it anxiety toolbox. Let's talk about what's in here. These are things that can help you when you are really struggling. So starting out, magnesium. I don't know if any of you take magnesium. Magnesium is one of my favorite sort of micronutrients. It's the most efficient micronutrient sort of in our population, because our soil no longer has the micronutrient or magnesium levels that it once had. But a deficiency of magnesium can do a lot of things. It can make us anxious. It can affect how we metabolize hormones. It can affect our sleep, and that in turn can worsen anxiety so much more. So magnesium is one of my favorites for sure. In addition to that, when we talk about sleep, I have a product called Sleep Savior, which is available on my website, drtaz.com. But not being able to sleep is a huge cause of anxiety. So this has magnesium, melatonin, and magnolia bark. Magnolia bark is an herb that helps with falling asleep and with staying asleep. So that's another option. Teas, I love teas. And so this is a relaxing tea. It has some reishi mushroom in it, along with some other herbs in it that you can mix into water and drink, and that can calm you as the day goes on. One of my favorite calming teas too is holy basil or tulsi. Those are great teas. Essential oils, I use these often when I'm feeling anxious. You can rub them on the back of your neck or your wrist or the bottom of your feet. This is one to cheer me up. This one's called Cheer. Lavender is one that we like as well. So that's another thing you can use. I am an acupuncturist. I don't know if many of you knew that or not, but as an acupuncturist, doing acupuncture, and we'll get on here one day and do an acu demo and show you what that looks like. But acupuncture is a wonderful way to calm anxiety down. Obviously something that you can't do from home. There are these little aromatherapy patches that I like. I don't know if you guys have ever used those. If you're feeling anxious, you can kind of put them on your forehead or put them on your neck or your chest, and that can also help to calm anxiety and to relieve anxiety down. Oh my gosh, what else do I have in here? I have a lot of stuff in here. I didn't realize it. There's another one, CBD oil. So CBD oil, orally, taking it orally or even using it topically can sometimes help with anxiety and help with relaxation as well. So that's what I've got in this box. There's so much more that we could talk about too. I probably can do a whole Facebook Live on just anxiety and talk about that for forever, because there's the breath work, there's tapping, there's meditation, there's guided imagery. We can do all of that stuff. Maybe we'll do that next week and dive into the world of anxiety and building a good anxiety toolbox. All right, let me take a couple more questions before we wrap for the day tonight. Let's see, what are some tests to take, physical deficiencies to look for after going through trauma? Oh, pregnancy, then loss of an infant. Oh my gosh, my thoughts and prayers are with you for sure. I can't imagine what you're going through at this time. So here's what trauma does to us. And many of you may be experiencing trauma either through loss or through what we're going through right now. It's just a really tough time. Remember, trauma depletes the body of key nutrients. It drains the adrenals. There's this concept of adrenal fatigue. So it makes adrenal fatigue significantly worse. So if you're experiencing trauma, my advice is always to increase your vitamin C and increase your B vitamins, increase the amount of protein you're taking in as the raw materials of helping you kind of get through this phase, which is going to take some time for you to get through. So if you want to do labs and tests, then you can test those levels for sure. But just something that we've seen over and over again is that trauma, it depletes the body of nutrients, upsets hormone balance. it gets stored emotionally within the body and then triggers and creates inflammation when you don't have the resources and the support to help you release it. So you really want to find a way to help you release trauma and to help let it go, so that over time your body doesn't react to it and you don't have an inflammatory response to it. So God bless you. My thoughts and prayers are with you for sure. I can't imagine such a loss, and many of you may be experiencing loss, and I encourage you guys to reach out to each other for support and encouragement, because this has been, it just feels like a season of loss overall, and all of you have such heart-wrenching stories and, you know, just deserve to be honored. So definitely thinking about you. For all of us, you know, as we move forward into the new day, remember that as we reopen to opportunities, to possibilities, every moment is like a new morning. It's a chance to start over. It's a chance to start fresh, to rebirth ourselves and to move forward. So seize that opportunity and seize that moment to really define what it is that you're going to do next in the world, and how you're going to make an impact and how you're going to make a difference. Sometimes the greatest losses that we all experience lead us to the greatest happinesses that we couldn't even imagine for ourselves. So hold on to that and go ahead and get out there in the world with confidence and calm and conviction and knowledge. And that's how ultimately we're going to heal our planet. Every moment is a fresh beginning. That's a T.S. Eliot quote. So take that. Let's go into the week ahead. I hope you guys all have an amazing week. I will see you guys back here next Sunday night. And if there's other things you want me to talk about or answer, just let me know. You can post it below. Remember, my website is drtaz.com. We're going to Mother's Day week, so we now have our Healthy Mom Guide up for anybody who wants to check that out. The moms are busting it right now, working really hard to take care of everything and put all those pieces together. So that guide is out. And we'll have lots of fun things happening throughout the week on Instagram Live. We have some great guests lined up for Taz and Friends. We'll be doing another Facebook Live probably midweek on merging medicine. So we're working on that as well. So lots of great stuff all the way around. So stay connected, stay informed, stay super powered, and I will see you guys soon. I'm going to say goodnight to those of you watching Instagram first. So good night. And for everybody else on my Facebook and YouTube, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. This has been a packed episode for sure of Sunday Night Live. Take care. Bye-bye.